Welcome back to Learn Astrology with Mary. You can find me at www.maryenglish.com, maryenglish.co.uk, and UK Astrologer. Hello, how are you? I hope you're well. I hope life's treating you with some loveliness and everything is lovely, jubbly, bubbly, and I have got a problem with my microphone. That's better, because what's the point in having headphones if I can't hear myself? Anyway, I hope you're well. This week, so last week we were talking about the MC and how it's important. I think it's still important, but nobody sent me a chart in yet. So, because the thing is, if you send me your chart in, you most of the time, especially if you're in the US, you can have an accurate chart. There's so few charts in the UK that are accurate. And the chart I want to talk about today, we don't have accuracy, but Auntie Mary's got some guesses about it. But yeah, so if you've got something that you want to share about your chart, we can do your MC and talk about your significant planet and where it's going and what it's doing. That'd be great. Now, what we're actually going to be working with today is the chart of a UK criminal. Now, on the face of it, you wouldn't look at this person and think, oh, I look really like a criminal. You know, she is a she. There's less criminals that are female, and she was, but isn't anymore, a neonatal nurse on a ward in the UK. So this was a story that hit the headlines last year sometime, and she ended up with 14 life sentences and was imprisoned in January this year. So we're going to cover her chart, and I won't tell you the story why, but anyway, why have I decided to choose her chart? I'm in the middle of writing a song about her. Whether or not it finally comes to fruition, I don't know, but I've started. Because the other thing that's been happening, because Neptune's transiting conjunct to my Mercury, and Saturn's conjunct to my Sun sign, and Mars is on my Mercury, and the rest of Mercury's retrograde, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, so I don't know, it hasn't happened. This is just a week. Because this is what you do during a Mercury retrograde, I resurrected a previous YouTube channel that I had called Folk in the Front Room, because in addition to being an astrologer in my spare time as a hobby, I sing acoustic guitar, etc. And during the retrograde, because I was tidying up the office and chucking things out and and all the rest of it, I came across I knew it was already there, but I was clearing out some shelves, a single that was going to be released on Virgin Records in the 90s. And it's called Take Me As You Find Me. And I didn't have a method to take it off the tape. It was a cassette tape. So my tape recorder would kick the bucket. So I bought myself a little digital device that I can convert it. And I put a photograph on my Instagram account of the cover of the single and the publicity that was going to happen if it had been released by Virgin, but they pulled out at the last minute, as you do. And my sister said, oh, I like that song. And I thought, but I want a few people to be able to hear it. Because I used to run a folk club. I stopped it a while ago when my mother and my sister died, and I just couldn't sing anymore without crying. Long story short, I resurrected the folk channel. It's called Folk in the Front Room. So you go to YouTube and you just put Folk in the Front Room. It'll turn up and you can see what I've got up to, and there's guests that are coming every now and again, so it's probably going to have a guest every month at least, because I used to run the club first Wednesday of the month, and different singers doing acoustic stuff, and it's fun and I'm enjoying doing it. And then I sort of thought, oh, what's the astrology of that? And I thought, well, it's got to be Neptune, because Neptune's allowing for creativity and making me feel pretty creative at the moment, when I haven't been for ages and I haven't written any new songs. And I've got this ridiculous idea in my head, because a lot of folk songs are sad. There's a lovely folk song the song's called The Cruel Mother, and it's got quite a pretty little tune, and the lyrics are horrendous, and she got a rope and tied the children's feet with it, and she got a knife and pierced each one through their tender hearts, and then she went out in the moonlit night, and all the babes were dressed in white, and blah de blah de blah. 7 years you'll hear a bell, and 7 years you'll land in hell is the last couple of lines. Anyway, I don't sing that song, but I was thinking about it. I was thinking, that must have been a true story, and it must have originated from somewhere, because the way that folk songs happen is that something happens, and rather than write a news item for it, some travelling minstrel will compose a song about it and then take the song from village to village and be able to inform the villagers and the locals and whatever of what might have happened or not happened at a certain date to a certain person at a certain time. And the point I'm making is that in folk music, some of those ballads are actual happenings that probably got twisted over the years in different ways. Now, I have lots of friends that write love songs constantly. I mean, nobody can write a love song unless you've been dumped. But now, what was sort of going through my teen little mind was, there's the cruel mother song. There must be something out there that's happened that is similar. And I sort of hit upon the idea of Lucy Letby, and that's where I'm at the moment. And whether or not it comes to anything, please, this is just me blurbing. Why am I using Lucy Letby's chart? So we're going to be looking at Lucy Letby's chart, and we got her date of birth and we got the location of birth. She was born on the 4th of January 1990, and she was born in Hereford, which is different from Hereford. So Hereford is in Herefordshire, so that's in the UK. I thought, what sign of the zodiac could possibly get round to murdering a vast quantities of little uns unless they've got something going on. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every person that's this side of the zodiac is going to do that, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what might be in their chart that could possibly indicate, maybe, or what has this person got in their chart that's going to indicate some sort of issue somewhere with something. Anyway, the story is Lucy Letby, when she was born, her mother had a difficult birth with her, and her life was saved by the nurses on the ward. So obviously mummy must have told the story to little Lucy constantly for her to have remembered it so much and to have quoted it to a friend. And this is only stuff I've read on the internet, by the way. And so therefore she must have grown up sort of thinking, all nurses are wonderful and they save lives of babies. So she trained and she became a nurse, and she originally started working in, let me just get the hospital. Her hospital was the Countess of Chester Hospital. She's actually the worst child killer ever. So what was going through my head was, blah, 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 blah. I'd like to write a song about this horrible flipping subject. Don't know if it'll get to it. I might give up because it's a horrible subject. Anyway, in the doing of it, I thought, well, let's talk about her chart. What is it about her chart that could have probably contributed towards it, or whatever? What might it be about her chart that we can explore? So I've got the date of birth, I've got the location, I've got 4th of January 1990. She's definitely an indigo. She's got Uranus and Neptune conjunct. She's got the Sun conjunct Uranus, the Sun conjunct Neptune. She's most definitely an indigo child. There's no two ways about it, but why did she turn to be a criminal? So I was sort of tossing up, what ascendant could she have? What was it how was she? So I was sort of thinking, I wonder if she's a Virgo ascendant, 1, 2, 3, 4, with Sun in the 5th, because she liked the glory of the job that she'd got, and she was working with children. So that's a Sun in the 5th house type of thing. And if she was a Leo ascendant, that would make her 1, 2, 3, 4, Sun in the 6th, which would work as well. Anyway, I couldn't make up my mind to what her ascendant could possibly be. I'd have to probably watch a whole load more videos of her being interrogated by the police, but then I might lose the will to live. So anyway, the chart that I've chosen 8 a.m, giving her a Capricorn ascendant. I've used whole sign, so you can see what's going. You can't see the charts. There's so many of you say, I can't see the charts. Please go to my Libsyn, where the podcast is hosted, and we have to actually see the chart. So we've got Sun Capricorn, Moon Aries, Mercury Capricorn retrograde, Venus Aquarius retrograde. Now we'll come back to that because that's an issue. Mars 11 degrees Saggy, Jupiter 4 degrees Cancer, Saturn 15 degrees Capricorn, so Sun's conjunct Saturn, Uranus 5 degrees Capricorn, Neptune 12 degrees Capricorn. Capricorn, and Pluto is 17 degrees Scorpio. So the Sun is conjunct Saturn and what was the other planet I saw? And Neptune. Okay, now that's a very difficult conjunction to have. So as we speak today, Neptune and Saturn are conjunct in the sign of Pisces. So Lucy Letby was born with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. I mean, Saturn is in Pisces at the moment, but it's not conjunct. Neptune's conjunct Mars at the moment. So we've got a lot of Capricorn in the chart there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets. We've got one planet in Aquarius. Now, it was interesting that she's 30 something or other. She didn't date, didn't have a boyfriend, but it came to light during the court appearances that she did have a crush on one of the doctors, and there was sort of one of the reasons they reckoned that she might have gone down this path of being an evil little nasty piece of work was, and I quote, that she got a thrill from the baby's deaths and she wanted the attention of one of the doctors. So the prosecution claimed Letby was having a secret relationship with a married doctor who worked at the Countess of Chester Hospital and cannot be named for legal reasons, obviously. That the nurse repeatedly denied this. Text shown to the court revealed the pair messaged regularly, swapping love heart emojis, and met up several times outside of work, including on a day trip to London, even after Letby was removed from the neonatal unit in July 2016. The nature of their relationship was said to be significant. He was one of the doctors who would be called when the baby suddenly deteriorated. She harmed them, suggested to get personal attention, and Letby denied this. There was another sort of possible motive was that she was bored. So as a Band 5 nurse, she was qualified to care for the sickest babies, and then they stuck her in another ward and she didn't like that, and then also that she was not good enough to care for them. So she had some post-it notes that said, I killed them on purpose because I'm not good enough to care for them. I'm evil, I did this. I will never have children or marry. I will never know what it's like to have a family. So obviously her thinking process had gone completely up the swanny. So there's the chart. We've got a cluster of things in Capricorn. We've got Jupiter retrograde opposition to the Sun. So this is somebody that doesn't or has issues with luck. And Jupiter is retrograde and it's in Cancer. And Jupiter is conjunct to Chiron. Is that right? Yeah, Jupiter's conjunct Chiron. So, you know, the toss-ups for the ascendants could be like Leo, look at me, look at me, look at me, which I don't really think that's the case. Possibly a Virgo ascendant because she appeared to be quite quiet, or a Cancer ascendant, which are very into family, and she still lived with mummy and daddy and she was in her 30s. Okay, so let's do some transits. Now, I'm not going to go through absolutely every transit, but the first one that we've got a time for, which is very helpful, is when she was actually arrested. Now, she didn't get arrested until July 2018, and the crimes started in the first one was 8th of June 2015. So actually probably better to do that date first, okay, because Lucy Letby starts work at 7:30 p.m. and at 8:26 on the 8th of June 2015, the first baby starts to get seriously ill. So obviously she did something just a few minutes before then. Okay, so I've got the chart for the time that the first baby becomes unwell. It eventually dies at 9 o'clock, and the ascendant is so I'm doing it a synastry chart with the baby killing on the inside and Lucy Letby's planets on the outside. So we've got, don't forget this chart is in a sense transits. So we've got the Moon and Neptune are exactly conjunct. So she herself got Sun conjunct Neptune anyway. So on this date, the Sun is in Gemini and the Moon's in Pisces. So the Sun and the Moon are near enough square to each other. Not probably exact because the Moon's not far enough. But the Moon and Mercury are square to each other. And Mars and the Sun are conjunct. And just as a chart for itself, we've got Sagittarius ascendant. Ruler to the chart is Jupiter. Jupiter's located to the 9th house of spirituality. The MC's in Libra. And you can see some definite connections between her planets and this chart. So she's on the outside, the baby getting... she did 3 different things, one of which was to overfeed them, inject them with insulin. What was the third thing? Suffocate them or something, I think. Yes, inject them with insulin, give them too much food or suffocate them. And they tried to resuscitate this baby. Now look, Pluto is transiting through the sign of Capricorn. It's 14 degrees. It's exactly conjunct her sun sign. So when she was born, she's natally got Pluto in Scorpio. But while all this was going on, Pluto's transiting conjunct her sun sign, her Saturn and her Neptune. So it's not a particularly fun time of life. Uranus has already gone past her moon, but we don't know what time of day she was born, so we don't know what her moon is, blah, 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 blah. And she natally has got sun and moon square. In fact, in her natal chart, she's got sun, moon square, and then the moon is square to Jupiter, square to Saturn, square to Uranus, square to Neptune. It's also square to Chiron and... we can't say it's square to ascendant because we don't know what the ascendant is, but the sun is opposition Jupiter. We've got Jupiter opposition Uranus, Jupiter opposition Neptune. There is only 2 nice aspects in a chart: sun sextile Pluto and moon trine Mars. That's not a particularly friendly amount of transits. Everything's either a square, an opposition, or a conjunction. Even Pluto's square to the north node. And her north node is Aquarius. Oop. So this is the date and time of that first poor baby's passing. So Jupiter, say, ruling planet's up at the 9th. And the moon and Neptune are exactly conjunct because the moon is 6 degrees Pisces and Neptune's 9 degrees. Yes, they're only 3 degrees apart. Pluto, what else have we got there? And Saturn is retrograding near the ascendant. Saturn is 0 degrees Saggy retrograde. So she started doing all this when Saturn was retrograding. Interesting. So that's the first baby and her bumping it off. And I think what makes her and what she got up to worse in a way is that's not what you do with babies. You don't kill them off. That isn't, and I think that's why it sort of sticks more. That what she did was so flipping horrible. Okay, now we've got the time of the arrest, and the arrest is the 4th of July 2018. So this is 3 years since she starts killing babies. It took the hospital that amount of time because it isn't something that you expect a nurse to do. You don't expect a nurse to bump the patients off, especially not when they're babies. It's sort of, maybe there'd be I'm going to say understanding is the wrong word. Maybe people would be less anxious about maybe somebody elderly and very ill being bumped off, but even then, that's not what you expect a nurse to do. I mean, there was that doctor, I can't remember his flipping name, and he killed loads of his elderly patients. Oof. So here we go, the arrested synastry chart. So I've put Lucy Letby on the centre in blue and the arrest on the outside. And now Saturn, so from this amount of time, so she started being an idiot when Saturn was transiting through the sign of Saggy. And natally, she's got her Mars in Saggy. And at the time that she's arrested, Saturn transiting is now retrograding again, and this time it's exactly conjunct to her natal Uranus. So transiting Saturn is 5 degrees. Natal Uranus is 5 degrees. Oh, it's exactly conjunct. Pluto's retrograding, so Pluto's 20 degrees Capricorn retrograding. Her sun sign is 13, her Mercury's 24. So now Pluto has gone past her sun sign, is now retrograding conjunct to her natal Mercury. Eek. Transiting Mars is 8 degrees Aquarius. Her natal Venus is 5 degrees retrograde. And I have to point out that Venus retrograde can make it, I'm not saying it does make it, can make it more difficult to have a long-term relationship, because if your love planet is continuously going retrograde, went to do it all the time, it did it when you were born, then your attitude towards relationships is going to be a little bit different. And revisiting, redoing, anything where Mercury is not going forwards, it's going to do the opposite of what it intends to do. Transiting Sun is exactly conjunct her natal Chiron. So natal Chiron is 13 degrees and the Sun is 12 degrees. Boom. So thankfully she was eventually arrested. Transiting Jupiter is retrograding, 13 degrees Scorpio, natal Pluto 17 degrees Scorpio, so that's conjuncting. So they chose a pretty good date, good inverted commas. Neptune's still retrograding 3 years later. And it's conjunct to the moon again. Wasn't that interesting? So the date that she commits the first, I didn't notice that when I first looked at it, the first murder, Moon and Neptune, did I get that right? Moon and Neptune. Moon's Pisces, Neptune's Pisces, yeah. And Neptune, Neptune isn't retrograding, beg your pardon, but the Moon and Neptune are conjunct on the date that the first murder happens, and then the date that she gets arrested, transiting Moon and Neptune are conjunct, and Neptune's retrograde now, so she's having to revisit what she did. So that's just a little bit about this horrible woman. You can stick every adjective in there. I don't feel sorry for her at all. I haven't got one iota of how would you feel if that was your baby and your baby's in a neonatal, in a very sick baby unit? It's not as if these are happy babies who have just been born that she's bumping off. She's bumping off the ones that have already struggled to stay alive, and now she's killing them as and I'm a mother myself, so you just sort of think, glad she's in prison, hope she flipping stays in there forever. I think she's appealing against something or other. I hope they shut the appeal out of court. So today we've been discussing the chart of a cold-blooded murderer, and her name's Lucy Letby, and she was a British nurse that worked in Chester and killed at least 7 very, very small, helpless babies, and didn't admit to any of it to anybody, still isn't admitting it. And so how can I now say to you, I hope you have a fabulous week. Be back next week. I just want to say, if you want to share your chart, what I was talking about last week about the MC, then please send it over to me, mary@maryish.co.uk. If you want to go to the Folk in the Front Room channel, just go to YouTube and put in the search box Folk in the Front Room, and you'll find the little channel there. And obviously, if you haven't followed me on YouTube anyway, my astrology channel is at Mary English, so it's youtube.com/@Mary English. There's only one Mary English, which is me, and I'd love it if you followed me on there. And if you're on Instagram, once again, like I said a few weeks ago, please follow me on there. If you've got a private account, can you send me a message as well, because otherwise I'll miss it, and also send me a little message saying that you're following me, you're listening to me on the podcast, and we can have a little Instagram chat. So I do hope you have a fab week, and I'll be back next week. Bye bye now.